Just shut that visor. Good morning, folks. Yep, morning, 11:15. So I hope you're all well and getting out on the days where the sun is shining, although it's been pretty terrible recently. Every time I've considered jumping on a bike, within an hour it's lashing the rain, and you lose your motivation a bit. It's alright if you're out and about and you get rained on, but to just go out in the lashing rain, don't get me wrong, it's different in winter when you just need to, you really need to, because you're not getting out as often. But deflating Scottish summer has been pretty shit. And I say that as if I'm not used to it. So let's talk about profiting from selling or buying and selling used motorcycles. So I spoke but just before I got this, saying that I'd been offered an amazing trade-in price for my ER6N, and I just couldn't refuse it. And what had happened is I was looking for a Suzuki SV650X at the time, which I still think is a very attractive motorbike, and I thought, I'd been to a couple of dealers, been offered not as much as I wanted really for my bike. I think somebody offered me £2,000 for it. It was another guy, the guy through in Kincardine at Morven Motorcycles. He pretty offered me exactly what I'd paid for it, the 2,350. So that was the figure I'd paid for the Kawasaki, was 2,350. So I started looking again online down south. I don't mind driving with my van to go and buy a bike if it's a good enough price and a good enough bike. But then some of them offer quite a cheap rate of delivery, so that was always going to be an option as well. So bizarrely enough, I found one, I found a used motorcycle dealer who's a Royal Enfield dealer as well, in fact, down in Stafford. And I was looking at his SV650X and thinking, yeah, I like that. And then this little GS caught my eye. So I thought I'll email him and see if he's interested in it. So he basically just asked me to send him some pictures and the details of it, etc. He came straight back at me the following day, I think it was. And they offered me 3,275. Sure, it was 3,275. Goodness, they're in a hurry. So I bit his arm off. I'll put the invoice up. I'm sure it was around £150 for delivery, and I had to pay around 800ish to change. So I couldn't say no to that. So that's 3 bikes I've bought and sold, and I've made a profit on all 3 of them. The first one I bought and sold was the Yamaha YZF-R 125, which was my second bike. I bought that to decide if I wanted to keep that or I preferred the naked MT-125, and I went on to obviously keep the MT-125. So I bought that for, it was advertised for 3,000. I messaged the woman on Messenger that was selling it, and she was actually selling it for her husband, and I said, what's the least you'll take for it? Without even seeing it, I'll take it away in my van tomorrow. It was through in the east, it was near Edinburgh, and I expected her to sort of come back with 2,750 or something like that, and she just said, oh, he said he'll take 2,600 for it, but not a penny less. So that was a 2018, and it was mega low miles and mega clean and mega tidy. So I got rid of that and I kept the MT-125. So when I was getting rid of that, it was Superbike Factory. I'd seen the CB 500F in the HRC colours, mega rare in them colours, and it was about £4 roughly for that bike. So I'd done the same with them back then. I sent them pictures and details, etc., and they came back to me straight away and offered me £3, and I would normally haggle and try and get a bit more for things, but that's twice I've been offered a price from 2 used bike dealers and bit their arm off right away. So that was £400 profit I made from that YZF-R 125. So then when it came to parting with my MT-125, which I still regretted for quite a while, it was advertised for, when the market had changed, I'd bought it before COVID, just before COVID really. It was January 2020. I drove through to St Andrews, or it was near St Andrews, to view it in my van. The guy had it on for, I think it was 2.8, and I told him before I went, I said, I've only got £2, mate. I said, I'll come and see it. And I thought to myself, I could maybe hold off a month or so, then I'll have a bit more cash and then buy it. And I went through with my £2 in my pocket, and he bit my hand off. So it turned out it had a broken loom wire for the ignition. The wires hadn't been routed properly, and the steering stop, or the handlebar stop, now when you turn your bars to the side it stops at a certain point, had the guillotine effect on the cable. So if you turned left, I think it was, the ignition would just cut off. So I think the guy knew this. He must have knew this, and he's just chanced his arm. He test rode it in his street. He just rode down to one side of the street, or one end of the street and back, and I'm like, ah, that's fine. I certainly wasn't riding an uninsured motorcycle. So my dad fixed that for me, thankfully. But that could have been a costly repair. More so it was a temperamental, intermittent one, so sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't work. So when the time came to sell it, I think I put it on Gumtree and I stuck it on for 2.8. As I said, the market changed. The asking prices for these bikes had changed a great deal, and they'd went up in value quite a bit. So a young guy came and gave me 2.8 for it, and the rest is history. So I'm not sure if it's normal to sell bikes and make a profit. When it comes to cars, I've never made profit on a car. Oh no, to tell a lie, I made £200 on a car once, and it was a Subaru WRX wagon, which was the estate one. I sold another car, it was an Audi S3, I'd had it for a year. I paid 17.5 for it back in 2004, and I sold it in 2005 for the exact same price, and I'd put about 12,000 miles on it. But cars, you normally lose money from the minute you jump in them. But that's 3 bikes, and I've made a vast profit out of 3 bikes. So basically the profit I've made off of 3 bikes pays for my MT-125. I pretty much got that for free. So, Die Hard used motorcycle dealership coming soon to a place near you. I'm joking. I think I've just been jammy. So I'll leave you here, folks. Take it easy. Cheers for watching. And now I'll try and think of where else to go next. Take care.